Hello, so let's look at some examples of plant and animal adaptations. So some things to remember is an adaptation, we really should be discussing the trait that allows the plant or animal to survive and reproduce. And we actually also want to be thinking of the biome that we would find this plant or animal in, because remember, we adapt to our environment and that's where we survive and reproduce. So we're going to start out with one that lives in our biome, so a deciduous forest. We will see dandelions. I know we're all very familiar with these. We always run up, grab them, and then we blow them when they look like these snowballs. That's exactly what the dandelion actually wants us to do. So one of its adaptations is that their seeds, the seed structure. So it actually allows it to travel very far. So when we are blowing that snowball, we are actually spreading the seeds far and allowing it to reproduce in more locations, just like it wants. So the adaptation is the seed structure, because it is very lightweight so that the wind can blow it very far. Another adaptation is, so when we go up and grab them, we just break the stem right off. It's not very hard to do. That's actually an adaptation because it wants you to do that, but it doesn't actually destroy the plant itself. So its adaptation is the stem above ground is very weak and easily broken. The third adaptation we could talk about is if you've ever tried to actually pull out the root, it's not that easy. So its third adaptation is having very strong, deep, long roots that anchor it into the ground. And again, so it wants you to break the stem above ground off and spread the seeds, while also keeping those roots underground so that it can just reproduce right there. So those are three adaptations of the dandelion, and we focused on the trait. Okay, let's look at another plant. So this is an Amazon rainforest tree. So think of the rainforest. What do we know about that biome? I know there is a lot of vegetation and a lot of other animal species as well, but we're going to focus on the plants. We know it's very hard to get sunlight there because of all the vegetation. It's very thick, overgrown, so the trees have to be able to grow very tall in order to get any sort of sunlight. How they're able to do that is their root system, which we're looking at right now. So if you notice, it's a very thick root, which provides stability and support to the tree as it grows up. So having very thick roots and they spread out very far provides a very good foundation for the tree to grow straight up. Another thing to notice is if you look outside at our trees, we don't see the root systems like that. Our root systems are underground. Now, why would that be? Again, in the rainforest, it's very wet and moist, and the ground is not as sturdy as our ground around here. Think of when it rains for a long time and then we have a storm. You'll see a lot more trees fall over because the ground is no longer able to hold the roots in there. Since that could happen pretty much all the time at the rainforest, they have adapted to grow the root systems above ground to not have to worry about the ground keeping them in place. The roots themselves do that. So that's another adaptation, that their roots grow above ground. Okay, so again, thinking right about the biome, connecting it right to where they survive and reproduce. Okay, so let's look at these two organisms. So we have a katydid and a flat-tailed gecko, and you should be able to see right away that they are excellent at camouflaging into their areas. And in science, we call this color protection. So we don't say they camouflage, we call it color protection, because it's really their color, and in this case, even their texture, that is protecting them from their predators. So you can note that the katydid looks identical to the leaf as well as the flat-tailed gecko. So again, we call that color protection. And in this case, it's even their texture that is also an adaptation for them in order to better camouflage into their environment. So this is one that's going to come up a lot because a lot of our animals have adapted for this to blend into their environment. So I do want you using the term color protection on that. All right, well, let's look at two last animals here. We have the Arctic fox and the Arctic wolf. So again, thinking they live in the Arctic, the tundra. What do we know about that? Well, it's very cold, it's very low vegetation, there's a lot of snow, and that's what we can see in these pictures. So again, right away, you should be able to notice that they also have color protection. So they all have white fur, lighter colored fur to blend into the environment. Something you may not know but does happen, an Arctic fox, for example, will have the white fur in the winter to blend in with the snow, but then in the spring, they will have brown and black fur to better blend in with the environment for springtime in the tundra. So again, color protection is one of their adaptations. And another adaptation is, again, we already said it's very cold there, and you should be able to see that their fur is very thick. So having thick fur is also an adaptation for most animals living up in the tundra and Arctic regions, just to allow them to regulate their body temperature. So yeah, these are adaptations. And again, you need to remember to talk about the trait specifically that allows them to survive and reproduce. And also you want to be thinking of their biome and how does it relate directly to where they live and help them survive in that location.